A few things. So I've gone through and I've graded all the assignments. If you've submitted something yesterday or today, I'll be going through later today, grading those things. And I'll do one more look through on Friday before I submit my progress progress report grades. Um, I've had a few people ask me about artist study number 7. I announced that on Monday, that because we're not meeting on Wednesdays, you still have an assignment for Wednesday, and that the art department has kept the artist study because we're required to still give you assignments. So we kept the artist study because it's simple, it's easy, it's something you know how to do, and I did make it due on Wednesday. So for some of you, it says it's missing. You can still turn it in. There's still time. So just get that one done. So from now on, the artist studies will be done on your own, not in class like they have been before. So those will be taking the place of what we would do on Wednesdays together. Okay. Um, what I've decided to do, because I know there's a lot of students who are trying to raise their grades, and I know I already closed modules 1 through 6. What I'm offering all of my classes, if you come to my office hours, I will open any assignment that you plan on working on right then and there with me during the office hours. And I'm doing this because this way, if you have questions as you're working on it, if you need me to help you get started, if you need feedback, I'm right then and there. I can give you tips on how to make it a little bit easier or faster, right? So you have to work on it during the office hours with me in order for me to open it up for you to turn in. You can also come to homework jam and I'll do the same thing. I'll open up the assignment during homework jam and you can get caught up and turn assignments in. So those of you who are still needing to do modules 1 through 6, that is your opportunity to still turn those in. So make sure you get those. Okay. um any questions about that? No. Okay. So make sure you have a blank sheet of paper. Make sure you have your colored pencils. Today we're going to look at this assignment, the 3 spheres, an intro to color harmonies. So we're going to be looking at color. We're going to look at 3 color schemes. So there's a lot that goes into color. Color has psychological effects on people. That's why a lot of advertising and marketing companies, they spend a lot of money researching how people respond to certain colors. And that's why certain colors are used when it comes to food or clothing, items that people want you to buy, because color is something that we're deeply connected to and we're attracted to a lot. So we're going to look at 3 color schemes that will be incorporating into our hand final assignment. So this is what a color wheel is, and it's organized in a way where you have your primary colors, red, yellow, and blue. And what happens is when you mix these 2 colors, you get the colors in between. When you mix these colors, you get the colors in between. So you're getting the colors in between that depend on how much you mix of each. So this color wheel is what we'll use for our examples here. Our first one is monochromatic, and this means it's one color, and the one color is going from light to dark. So there are 3 different versions of this. There's the color by itself, that's its pure color. If you add white to the color, it becomes what's called a tint. So that's where you get like your pastel colors. If you add gray to it, it becomes what's called a tone because it's dulled out a little bit. And if you add black to it, it becomes a shade. So it becomes like a dark red. So that's monochromatic. It is, sorry guys, everybody's trying to call me today. Okay, so that's monochromatic. So it's just the light and darkness of one color. Then we're gonna look at analogous colors. And analogous colors are any three colors on the color wheel that are right next to each other. Like I can do red, red, violet, violet. I can do yellow, yellow, orange, orange. So I can pick any three colors that are right next to each other on the color wheel. With analogous colors, I can also add black and white to this to create light and dark versions of all three colors, but you're mostly using just those three colors. And then we'll look at complementary colors, which are colors opposite each other, the color wheel. So for this example, red and green, we yellow and violet, blue and orange. These colors we see a lot in like sports clothing. We see it like Christmas, the red and green. And these two colors, they go well with each other because they create a really interesting contrast in the artwork. And the other thing too is you can mix them together to create different shades of colors. So they make neutral colors. So if you mix them together, they create like a brownish, a grayish brown, or a greenish brown. It depends on which ones you choose. So these are the three color schemes we are going to look at today, and we're going to do this assignment together. Okay, any questions? So we're going to draw shaded spheres like this of each color scheme. Okay, and I'm going to walk you through it. Any questions so far? Okay, so take your blank sheet of paper. We're going to break it up into threes like this. And we're just going to start. So if you want to write, I'll give you a moment to write these notes. So this is the title of our assignment. And then we're going to do monochromatic. I forgot to add tone in here. And then we have analogous and complementary. So I'll give you a moment to copy that.
Hello?
So I'm just giving you a moment to copy this. And then we'll get started drawing it together. And again, make sure you have your color pencils because we are going to use them. Okay. So I'm going to just draw a circle here. I'm going to draw a table line. And I'm going to draw the cast shadow. And I'm going to go ahead and do that 2 more times. So I have my 3 circles here. So for this one, you're just going to choose one color. So I'm going to choose, like you can choose whatever color you want. I'm going to choose, I'm going to choose a blue. So this is going to be my color. So I'm just going to put a little bit of color here. Now, for my tint, color pencils come with a white color pencil, but they're pretty useless. So for like with paint, normally you add white. When color pencils, it's just going to be a matter of like pressing lighter to pressing harder. So this is where your pressure of your pencil is going to come into play. So we're just going to, I'm going to just do a little bit of a swatch here. Okay. I can take my white color pencil, but really what it does, it doesn't make, doesn't really change the color a lot. I can press on top and let me zoom in a little bit. So what it's doing, it's making it a little bit lighter, but not too much. It does make it a little bit pastel, but it's like this white isn't really going to change it too much. So you want to be very careful about with the white color pencils. It doesn't, it's not going to change it like paint would. When you're using your color with black, sorry, hold on, let me get my, this one you usually start with black, and so I'm going to go light to dark with my black. I'm going light to dark with my black. And then on top, if I add my color, what should happen is my color should get darker as the black gets darker. So I'm going for like pure color to a really black, dark version of it. And then gray, I don't have a gray color pencil. So what we can do is with our black, I'm gonna go with my, just get lightly. And I'm gonna get a little bit darker over here, not too much darker. And then I'll add some white to turn this gray. And again, it's not going to really do too much, but it'll give us a little bit idea of this. And then I can take my color and put my color on top so it dulls it out a bit. So I'm creating all these different layers. Okay. So those are the three, these are the three kind of colors we'll be using for the monochromatic sphere, okay? So you're just using white, black, and the color. So usually what I do is I usually start to put in my shadows first. Let me sharpen my pencil real quick. So if my shadow's over here, that means I'm going to have, so I'm taking my black, I'm holding it towards the back end of it. And just like I would with my pencil, I'm gonna start and then moving this way, I'm gonna get lighter. So I'm gonna lighten up my pressure. I'm gonna get just a little bit on the side here, barely touching it. I'm going to start to get darker. Notice I'm making sure this is nice and round because I want to show the roundness of the ball. I'm leaving a little bit room for my reflective light. Now, color pencils, your blending sticks. I wouldn't use your blending sticks for the color pencils because these are wax. They have wax in them, so they don't really smudge the same way as a regular pencil does. I mean, you could use it, but again, it's not going to smudge the same way. And then I'm going to go ahead and just put my cast shadow. So when I'm coloring, I usually do my shadows first. I place everything in, get everything in place. If I want to, I can also give my background here a little bit of a shadow too. So I'm gonna actually do that. I'm gonna give this a little bit of a value because we want a background. This is starting to match the value on my ball on this side. So I'm gonna make this a little bit darker. So I'm going to give you a moment to get caught up. And then once you have like your values in place, you can take your color and shade on top. Now, if I want my ball to be this bluish color, I can go ahead and color in the light area, but I'm not going to press as hard with the value. So same thing, I'm still applying my pressure. So I'm going to be lighter here because I want it to look like the light's hitting this side. And then where it gets darker, I'm going to start to press a little harder to make sure that blue color gets a little bit darker. And the point of this is when you're blending colors, you want to hide the color underneath. So like I don't want to see the black by itself. In monochromatic, you you won't really see the black and white and gray by itself. It'll always be mixed with the color. So make sure you have enough of the color showing through. And I have a few choices. I can start to take some of my whites and start to blend some of my white in here. And fade it into my black area here. I can press really hard if I want to. I can, which is called burnishing, so it's nice and shiny. Or I can choose to leave it like this where it has the texture of the paper showing through. That's really a preference for people. Maybe I want the background to be really blue, kind of like a night sky. So I might apply a lot of pressure here. And then I have the table. So maybe the table is a very light blue that I'm going to mix with the white. So I'll put some blue over the shadow. And because the table is a light blue, my shadow is not going to have a lot of blue in it. It's just going to be a little bit. And then I can take my white and I'm going to press nice and hard with it to really change the look of the blue. And I'm also going to do the same over the black. So what you're going to see is that the shadow is going to become gray and you're going to see some of the blue pop through. And now our shadow has kind of dulled out a bit. So I might have to go back and just at least darken up directly underneath the ball. So I might go back and add a little bit more black. I might add just a little bit more blue under that. And go back, add some more blue to the dark part of my shadow here, make this stand out a little bit more. and that is my monochromatic sphere. So I'm only using one color and black and white. And again, the lighter the color you make, and when you add white, the lighter that color gets. How many people need another moment to get caught up with this? Or can I move on to the next sphere?
A little bit more time, please.
Okay. Kevin, just to answer, yes, I am recording this. So I know people are having some Zoom issues right now, popping in and out. So this will be, I will post this once it's available.
All right, thank you.
Yeah. Let me know when you guys are ready for me to move on to the next one. Can I move on to the next one, you guys?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So the next one is going to be our analogous colors. And again, those are any three colors on the color wheel. So this one's doing like yellow, green, green, and blue, green. I could do yellow, green, yellow, yellow, orange, as long as they're any three. The point of it is that they're all related, right? So I'm going to do yellow, yellow, orange, and orange. You can pick any three colors on the color wheel next to each other. Just make sure they're right next to each other. Like this is red, red, violet, violet, red, red, orange, orange. You could do red, violet, violet, blue. You can, no, that's blue, violet. You can do blue, violet, blue, blue, green. So they all have like one color in common. So again, I'm going to do yellow, yellow, orange, and orange. And I'm going to write just a few of those color combinations down. So the one I'm going to do is yellow, yellow, orange, and orange. You could also do, I'll do, I'm going to put like a line here. Red, red, violet, and violet. You can do blue, blue, violet, violet. You can do green, yellow, green, kind of yellow. I'm gonna just put a few combinations down, okay? Now, I don't have a yellow orange. I have yellow and I have an orange colored pencil. So we're gonna mix these two. You can also add, and then maybe I'll put this down at the bottom. You can also add black and white to this. So if you want to help your values, not a lot of black and white, but if you want to help your values, you can. So I'm going to start with a little bit of black just to help my values out a bit. And I'm just going to be really light. So I'm going to just get a little bit of my value here. And I'm going to put a little bit here. And I'm going a lot lighter than I would because I want the color to really be more dominant than the black and white. And then I'm going to put a little bit of value back here. And again, I'm just keeping these on the lighter side. And once I have this, I can start to decide, do I want my ball to be yellow? Do I want it to be orange? I'm gonna say that I want the ball to be more of a yellow orange. And so what I'm going to do is I'm gonna take my yellow, and I'm gonna start off putting my yellow here in the white area. And I'm gonna start to add more yellow, and as I get to the black area, I'm going to start to press just a little bit harder so that the yellow is what's called more saturated. It's standing out a lot more. And then again, I'm going to fade it as I get closer to get lighter in get a lighter yellow here. And then I'll take my orange, and I don't want, because this is going to be a yellow orange, so I don't want a lot of orange. I'm just going to do a very light value of orange throughout the whole ball to get my yellow orange. And again, I'm going to get a little bit lighter in this area where my yellow was lighter. And press a little bit harder in the shadow area here. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go back to my yellow. Because whatever color you use on top tends to become the more dominant color. So I'm gonna put the yellow on top so it really makes that orange become more of a yellow orange. And bring my yellow up a little bit more. And again, you could do this without the black. You don't always have to have the black in there because the black does dull out your color. But for those of you who need the extra help with it or want to make it a little bit more realistic, the black just helps add to it. And it's just a matter of like going back and forth, mixing your colors. Maybe I want my background to just be yellow. So I'll mix my yellow with my black here. And if I did this yellow orange sphere just right, then my yellow should stand out separate from the ball. If it blends in together, then I either didn't add enough of like my black, or I didn't mix my colors together enough for it to stand out separately from it. I have this weird kind of like glow around it, so. And then maybe I want my table orange. And again, like I need to either make the orange more solid or lighter than my yellow orange. I'm gonna just make it a little bit more solid so that the yellow orange ball can stand out more. I'll put some of the orange into my shadow here. So when using color schemes, the point of color schemes like this, so a lot of people make the mistake of when they're using color, they just use like any and every color that they want. And um, artists don't really work that way. Artists use specific color schemes, one, so that the artwork doesn't look too busy. So if you're just using any and every color, then the artwork usually gets too busy. It doesn't look as good. But when you have certain color schemes, it really helps, like, it changes the emotion and the feel of the object. So for example, right, like we have this blue sphere, we have this yellow orange sphere, same two spheres, but they both have such completely different feels to them just because of the colors we used. Like, how does this one make you feel right now? How does this one make you feel?
It makes me feel like melancholic. It doesn't bring down my vibe, but it's just
Right. It's not super happy, right? It's kind of like a little sad. It might even, maybe not like sad, but it might be just very like maybe even boredom, right? It's just not so exciting. And then this one, how does this one make you feel?
it makes me feel like a sunny day because of how bright it is. Because it's
Right.
yellow.
Yeah, it's really bright. It has a lot more energy to it. So the colors we choose has a really big impact on the drawings that we make. And so this is really important to keep in mind, like when we start adding more color. So like the final hand drawing that we started making sketches for, you're gonna have the option to incorporate color. It'll be one of these color schemes. Um, and it'll be something for you to think about, you know, like, will you add certain colors to help express a certain emotion? Okay. Um, do people need time to get caught up on this one?
Yes, please.
Okay. So I'll give you some time, get caught up. The examples on the assignment show you how to do this without the black and white. So the examples on there like have the sphere where like there's more orange. So if you don't use the black and white, then you use the darkest color as your shadow. So if I were to make this like a yellow orange ball, I would put more orange for the shadow. If I had the orange here, I would mix maybe the yellow, or I would go lighter with the orange and then get darker, press darker for this shadow here. So you would just use, if you don't use black and white, you would just use the whatever the darkest of the three colors you're using, you would use that as like your shadow color. Okay, I'm gonna move on to the last one. So this way, those people who finish can head out a little bit earlier. Even though we still have some class time, but I don't wanna take us all the way to the end if I don't have to. So our last one are complementary colors. And again, these are colors opposite the color wheel. So I'm gonna put down your options that you can do. So you can do red and green. You can do yellow and violet, which is gonna be the one I'm doing. You can do blue and orange. And then you can do like the combinations, like red, violet, and yellow, green. I don't know. Do you guys want those options too, or are these three good for you?
Those three are good.
So when you're looking at a color wheel, if you ever want one of the other options, you are going to do that. So again, I'm going to use yellow and violet. And then again, you can use black and white with this, but I personally don't use it. I usually just stick with the purple, just the two colors. And we might use a little bit black in this one. So the way this works, okay, whatever the color the object is, so let's say, so I'm gonna make this sphere yellow, but that means I'm gonna use the purple for the shadow, okay? Now, if I was making the ball purple, then I would use yellow as my shadow. So whatever the color of your object's going to be, you'll start with your opposite one first. So because I'm gonna make the ball yellow, also so you can see the difference between these two yellow spheres, and the difference in like adding black and not adding black, because there is a big difference. So I'm going to use the purple and I'm going to put in my shadow just like I would if it was the black color pencil. So fading and getting lighter as I get closer to my highlights. Have my core shadow. So instead of doing like shading everything, I'm just gonna work on one object at a time with this one. So right now I'm just putting in my shadows for the ball here. I'm gonna give you just a moment to kind of get caught up on that. So I've laid down my purple just like I would my shadow, going from light to dark. And I'm gonna go on top with my yellow. Now, a lot of beginning students just do this, like it's very thin and you can still see the purple, right? That's not what we wanna do. We want to really cover this purple up so that what happens is that the yellow, it becomes more of like a muddy, kind of dirty yellow. So you want to make sure you have enough yellow where it's making it, the purple kind of disappears and becomes like, it's turning into like more of like a brown. So when you mix these two colors together, they'll create like this, the more you put of both colors equally, it'll become a more neutral brown kind of color, not the brown like that we know in our paint. It becomes a little bit more of a natural brown, an earthy brown. Which is kind of, and it also, this is what's called muting a color. So yellow can be really intense, but if you don't want an intense yellow, if you add just a little bit of the violet, it mutes it and kind of dulls it out a bit. So if I want my table to be like a purple, the bad thing about yellow and violet is that it takes a lot of yellow to change the violet. So I'm gonna make the table a very light violet, which means I'm gonna need a shadow here. So I'm gonna put in a lot of yellow here. And I'm just gonna kind of go a little intense with my yellow so that it really changes the purple. And this is the bad thing about it, is that the yellow, it's so light, it doesn't have as big of an impact on the purple. And purple is so dark, it changes yellow really fast. The other color combinations like blue and orange and red and green don't have that same kind of impact, which is why I wanted to show you the violet and the yellow together, and how they mix. So I'm just gonna go really light with my violet here. Get a nice light violet table. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to press a little bit harder with that yellow. And the way I'm mixing it together, it should be like a darker brown with a hint of the purple. It shouldn't be pure purple. And I can probably get a little bit darker for my table. Just a little bit. And if I want, I can just maybe make my background a dark purple. I can add a little black to it if I want. I can add white to the light purple if I want to make it a little bit more lighter. Or make it more look like the blue one. But again, when I'm using, when I'm like painting, I tend to just work with complementary colors. I don't usually add black to any of my colors. It's very, very rare when I add black. I tend to add more of like a gray personally to my colors. But for the most part, I usually work with like complementary colors because I like the more natural looking shadow it gives me. Black kind of dulls out my color, where like the complementary color just feels a little bit more natural to me. And it's just a different look. There's no right or wrong to this. There's nothing wrong with using black as your shadow, but sometimes you just don't want it to be that intense because black can be very overwhelming. And so sometimes just using the complementary color can be a nice shadow, so it's not so demanding. So next week we'll do a little mini color combination. Yeah, Jesslyn, this is the last one. So if you need to go for your appointment, go ahead and leave. This is make sure to post this to Canvas. Yeah, so next week we'll use these same color schemes for an exercise so you get a little bit more practice with it. But this was just an introduction to all the colors, to these 3 color schemes. There's plenty of other color schemes. Like we can spend a whole year just on color by itself. It's pretty intense of a topic, so much to look at, but this is a good introduction to it. So when you are done, this is what you're going to post to the assignment, the 3 spheres. So this assignment should be done for you, and you should be able to post it today. Don't forget to do artist study number 7, because that was technically due yesterday, but you can still turn it in. And then the only other thing you have to do is finish up your hand sketches, because you did 3 of them in class with me. You just had to finish the 2. And that's pretty much it. Again, if you need to make up any work, try to get that in as soon as possible. And if you need to make up anything in modules 1 through 6, come to office hours and I'll unlock the assignments that you need to work on. Any questions for me? So once you're done drawing this one, you are free to go, and have a good weekend, and I will see you on Monday.
Have a good weekend.
Have a good weekend.
Have a good weekend, Miss.
Bye. Have a good weekend.